Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're looking at a really interesting slice from an advanced conversational hypnosis training.
Yeah, this is from a session led by Virginie. We're not doing the whole thing, obviously, but focusing on one specific bit.
Exactly. It's called the testing phase.
Mm.
This happens, after some of the initial work in a session.
Right, and it uses triggers or themes that actually came up during that session with the participant.
And the idea is to check how resilient the changes are that the person's feeling.
Mm. If someone says, "I feel better,"
Hmm.
how do you actually test that? See if it's really sunk in.
That's what we want to unpack today. What does this testing look like, and why is it even necessary?
Well, it's fascinating because it's quite proactive. It's not just waiting for the participant to report back.
Okay.
The trainer actively introduces potential challenges, little tests, to see how deep that change really goes.
Right. So in the session we're looking at, the participants already said they feel better, lighter, even wanted to move around a bit.
Yeah, which sounds positive. But they also mentioned still feeling a little bit of a coldness,
For coldness. Okay.
which just shows, change isn't always neat. It can be layered. You might feel better in one way, but still have something else lingering.
Okay, so let's dig into that transition. The trainer asks something like, how do you feel now about what we discussed?
Exactly. And the participant says it feels more distant. The issue, specifically decision-making, feels less problematic.
Good. But they still mention feeling colder.
Mm-hmm. Still there. The decision part feels better, but that cold sensation persists.
And this is where the test comes in, right?
Yeah.
To see if that improvement around decisions can actually, hold you.
Precisely. So the trainer throws out a hypothetical directly related to the decision theme.
Okay, what is it?
Basically, what if you make a decision and other people aren't happy about it? What if they disapprove?
Ah, okay. Hitting that potential people-pleasing nerve.
Exactly. It tests whether that newfound sense of okayness relies on everyone else being okay with their choices. Can they handle disapproval?
And how did the participant react initially? The transcript mentioned some French phrases.
Yeah, the initial response was quite confident, like saying, good, feeling light here. And then something along the lines of, oh, well, too bad for them. I'll have my reasons.
So pretty strong on the surface.
It sounds it. But the trainer, probably based on earlier parts of the conversation we don't see, pushes back just a tiny bit.
How so?
Gently questioning, expressing a little doubt, maybe hinting at a tendency the participant might have to, smooth things over. Avoid conflict. Keep the peace.
Ah, the arrondir les ongles idea, rounding off the edges.
Exactly. It's not to invalidate the progress, but to see if that confidence holds when faced with that old pattern. A gentle reality check.
And did it work? Did it push them?
It seemed to solidify things, actually. The participant came back stronger.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, saying things like, I feel I want to make these decisions and I know they're the right ones, like dismissing any leftover questions or doubts.
So moving from just thinking it's okay to really feeling it, owning it.
That's a really important shift, that felt sense of certainty. But the testing doesn't stop there.
Okay, what's the next?
The trainer brings up another angle on decisions. What if you make a decision, you're sure it's right, but later on you realize you were actually wrong?
Ooh, that's a good one. Tests how they handle mistakes. Self-criticism, maybe?
Precisely. It probes resilience to setbacks, self-compassion. Can they mess up without it derailing them?
And what was the response there? The notes mentioned something about assuming responsibility.
Yes, they said they would assume it, own the mistake, and crucially, they wouldn't flagellate themselves over it.
Wow.
Because, they added, making the decision, even if wrong, felt more aligned with their true self than not making it.
That's huge, moving away from harsh self-judgment.
It really is. And what's telling is the participants seem surprised by their own conviction.
They recognize the change themselves.
Yeah, they mentioned having worked on similar things before, maybe in their own hypnosis training, but never feeling this degree of certainty.
Yeah.
They described it as a feeling of, well, essentially, yeah, strength.
A feeling of strength.
That feeling of strength becomes the focus. The trainer asks, how does that feel? What's different about this conviction?
And the participant just keeps coming back to that feeling.
Keeps emphasizing this novel feeling of force, of strength. And the interesting thing is, when they look back at the original problem, the decision-making,
Yeah.
it just doesn't seem like a problem anymore. At all.
So addressing it this way somehow dissolved the core issue.
It suggests that, yeah, it wasn't just managed, it was fundamentally shifted. That feeling of strength probably represents a deep internalized sense of like agency and self-trust.
And they mentioned feeling generally good, too, right? Like things were flowing.
Hmm. Feeling bien, good. And that everything now circulates, as if blockages were removed. You often hear about those kinds of physical sensations when there's been a significant internal shift.
Okay, so things are looking pretty solid. Increased confidence. The original problem feels distant. Now what? Is that the end of the test?
Almost. Now comes the real core of the test, you could say. The trainer goes direct.
How direct?
Asks them point blank to imagine a situation where they couldn't make a decision that suited them. Really digging for any last vulnerability.
Like the ultimate stress test for this new resilience.
You could put it that way.
Yeah.
Pushing to see if anything could still trigger that old pattern or feeling of being stuck.
And the participants' answer, again, the notes had French.
Rock solid. Basically said, well, nothing now, nothing. Even adding something like, even if you get into conflict with people close to you.
Wow. No hesitation.
Seemed very clear. They even added they felt confident their close circle would ultimately get it, be supportive, which shows a sense of security not just internally, but in their relationships too.
Okay. So that feels pretty conclusive then.
Yeah. And that's where the trainer acknowledges it, says, okay, and starts to transition them back, saying something like, okay, right, let's bring you back. The test is passed.
So recapping this testing phase,
Yeah.
it's really about introducing these specific, tailored potential obstacles.
Exactly. Obstacles related directly to what came up for the participant. And you're gauging their response, looking for sustained resilience, not just a temporary good feeling.
We saw that shift, didn't we? From initial confidence to deeper conviction, even when faced with potential conflict or making mistakes.
And that feeling of strength becoming central. It shows the change wasn't just intellectual, it was embodied. The proactive testing helped confirm that.
It really does make you think, doesn't it? How often do we or the processes we use actually test the changes we think we've made?
That's a great point. We often focus on achieving the change, but maybe not so much on ensuring it's robust enough for, real life.
What might be the value for ourselves or when helping others in gently exploring those potential future challenges? Just to see how solid things feel.
It suggests that maybe lasting change needs that little bit of, pressure testing perhaps. Not just feeling good in the therapy room, but knowing it can hold up out there. Something to consider.